Saturday mornings are supposed to be quiet where I live. Birds chirping, coffee brewing, maybe a lazy dog flopping around by the back door, not the sound of my side yard being chewed up by an ATV and the world's worst queen bee grinning at me from the property line. But that's how my day started, with the splintering snap of my $6,000 smart fence getting pulverized, mud flying, and Karen, our beloved HOA president, standing there like she'd just christened a new highway through my lawn. Yeah, that happened. There I was in pajama pants, clutching my mug, blinking at Karen and her sunglasses wearing teenager who was still revving the engine like he was in some Red Bull commercial. My dog lost his mind at the window sensors, dangled off the busted fence, and Karen called up shortcut like she was cutting a ribbon at a grand opening. I just stood there feeling the steam rising off my coffee and my blood pressure. See, Karen's not your typical yeller. She doesn't raise her voice, no. She delivers her brand of arrogance with a calm smile, always sounding like she's doing you a favor while stepping all over you. That morning, she's explaining how my city-approved, permit-stamped, fully legal fence is obstructing community flow. I was still half asleep and somehow already exhausted. So I walk out barefoot in the grass and I say, "That fence cost $6,000. She just waves her hand like I dropped a penny down a well. Maybe don't waste money on gadgets." She shrugs. "The ATV trail's better for everyone. Be a good neighbor." If you've ever tried to reason with a wall, you know how this goes. She finishes her little speech, calls her son, and he tears off down the trail, chewing up my yard like it's a dirt track. And just like that, I'm left standing in the kind of silence that only comes after something breaks. And it's just the beginning. My garden's a mess, the fence is wrecked, and the one thing I know for sure is this is not a one-and-done kind of problem. I'm not a hothead, so I take pictures, every snapped panel, every muddy rut. I find my original permits, snap those too. Karen doesn't care about logic but paper trails. She's always underestimated those. I start quietly talking to neighbors. Turns out that ATV's been zipping through a few other yards, but nobody wants to cross Karen. Most just mutter she's too much trouble and close their doors. Fine. I don't need a posse. I'm playing the long game here. Next morning, I go down to the sheriff's office, not 911, not drama, just a quiet, friendly conversation with a deputy. I lay out the photos. He raises his eyebrows and says, "That's not just mischief, that's thousands in damage." He hands me the official report forms and says, "We'll handle it." Suddenly, I feel like I've got backup, and not just the kind that wags its tail. Meanwhile, Karen's at it again. She blasts out an HOA email telling everyone the new community trail is open, framing it like she's leading the charge for progress. She never mentions the part where her shortcut plows straight through private property. Within days, I see more kids riding through. One guy on a dirt bike even gets in on the action. My dog's losing his mind. My sprinklers, those motion-activated ones, they just spray water everywhere, turning the trespassers into an unintentional comedy routine. But every time those engines rumble, I'm snapping another picture, logging another trespass. The deeper the ruts, the deeper Karen's digging herself. And then just when I think I've seen it all, Karen herself shows up on an ATV, sunglasses, helmet, the whole queen of the trail getup. She waves as she barrels through my fence, her wheels spinning in the mud I watered down myself. That's when I know this isn't about convenience or her son or even the trail. It's about power. Karen wants everyone to see her doing exactly what she wants. Property lines be damned. A couple days later, sheriff's cruiser rolls down the block. Karen's out in her rose bushes. You can see her stiffen as the deputy walks up, paperwork in hand, not to me but straight to her. I stay on my porch, just watching. The deputy lays it out: restitution, almost $7,000, city photos, everything. Karen goes pale, then red. She tries to argue, but the deputy's steady. "Ma'am, it's either pay or we move forward with charges." For the first time, Karen's smile cracks. You'd think that'd be the end, right? You'd be wrong. The next day, her SUV is parked across my driveway and she's waving a stack of official-looking HOA papers. The HOA voted your fence is a violation of community harmony. The shortcut stays. I almost laugh. I've read the bylaws cover to cover thanks to her nonsense over tomatoes in my front yard a few years back. She's got no jurisdiction here. You forge this, I say, calm as anything. Her mouth twitches. Community consensus is a form of governance, she says. I just take the papers and say, thanks, I'll be sure to include these in my file. And I shut the door in her face. After that, she bombs me with HOA notices, everything from untrimmed hedges to failure to maintain communal pathways, the pathways being her muddy shortcut. My yard's a disaster, more tire tracks, soda cans in the garden, teenagers I don't even know cutting through now. Karen's little rebellion is catching. So I up my game trail cameras, the kind you use for hunting deer, go up at every corner. Night vision, high-res, waterproof, the works. I catch every trespass, every engine, even Karen herself sneaking out at midnight in a tracksuit with a ladder trying to disable the cameras. She freezes spotlighted by infrared bolts, leaves the ladder in my marigolds. I don't touch it, just take more photos. My insurance company's sending an adjuster. Turns out the more proof I have, the faster they'll pay out and then go after Karen themselves. The real twist, my cameras catch her son almost mowing down a jogger on the trail. Sheriff's deputy says that's now reckless endangerment. The next warning's not just about restitution. It's about possible charges if the ATV use doesn't stop. Karen's mask drops. Tears show up, but it's not guilt. It's humiliation. If you think that's the end, think again. Karen doubles down. She rents a skid steer, hires contractors, and starts widening the shortcut. When they bust my irrigation line and city water geysers across the yard, I call the sheriff. Karen stands there directing the chaos, and the deputies shut her down. City sends her a bill for $3,400. Her shortcut is officially the most expensive patch of mud in the county. And yet Karen's just getting started. She spins a new narrative, midnight HOA emails accusing me of endangering children and predatory surveillance. Suddenly some neighbors are side-eyeing me. Others bring over coffee, quietly grateful. The next HOA meeting, the place is packed. Karen gives a speech about protecting community values. I roll out my binder photos of damaged timestamps, videos, city bills. Karen herself at the center, gasps, whispers, and the board chair. Old Richard finally asks, Karen, is this true? She stammers, but the invoice doesn't lie. Meeting adjourns in chaos. Karen corners me afterward, hisses, you think you've won? People listen to me. You don't belong here. I sip my coffee and say, funny the sheriff thinks otherwise. That night, someone spray paints community traitor across my fence, smashes my mailbox, and rips down my cameras. The footage shows Karen's son hoodie up and Karen herself lurking in the shadows. The sheriff issues a summons. Neighbors whisper, she's gone too far. Even her loyalists start drifting away. Still, Karen fires off a wild email accusing me of harassment, attaches blurry photos of me with trail cams. The HOA schedules a meeting to review her leadership. At the hearing, Karen plays the victim, claims I'm stalking her, sabotaging the community. I drop the binder again, page after page of proof. Richard reads the sheriff's report aloud. Karen's suspended pending further legal review. Her face, I'll never forget the look. Small, cornered like a dethroned monarch. But dethroned isn't defeated, not with Karen. The next day she sends contractors with forged HOA work orders to bulldoze my yard again. I call the sheriff, they catch on quick. Karen shows up in person, shouts, this neighborhood only works because of me. Without me, it falls apart. I say, you mean it works for you? She loses it. That weekend I get the call, sheriff's office is filing misdemeanor charges. HOA calls an emergency vote. Karen is out stripped of her title. Her kingdom crumbles. Most folks would step back, but not Karen. Night falls and a convoy of ATVs led by Karen rips through my yard in a final tantrum. I just record it all and send it straight to the sheriff. The next morning, deputies show up. Karen claims tradition. Miller, the deputy, says, no ma'am, it's trespass, property destruction, endangerment. Karen tries to say, I'm framing her neighbors roll their eyes. She's not president anymore. The world doesn't revolve around her. For the first time, Karen looks powerless. But it's not over, she escalates. My garden is set on fire at night. Trail cams are gone, but her son brags about the arson at school. Deputies question him. Karen's meltdown is public. Neighbors shake their heads. My property's wrecked, but now everyone's telling their own Karen horror stories or fines or threats or bullying. I realize it's not just about me anymore. I call a lawyer. We stack the evidence: vandalism, fraud, arson, city fines, everything. The civil suit is filed. Karen files a countersuit full of nonsense, but she's on the ropes. Then the final straw: a brick through my window, a red scrawl, traitors don't last. The handwriting is hers. Deputies arrest her. She screams about persecution as the neighbors watch in silence. Some clap, some just watch. Karen's last loyalists try petty revenge, but now everyone documents it. The insurance claim grows. The lawsuit piles up. At the courthouse, neighbors pack the gallery. The judge rules in my favor: restitution damages, legal fees, a lien on her house. Karen's name becomes a punchline: her house, her throne, her empire, all gone. And the shortcut: we rebuilt the fence, neighbors pitching in stronger, taller, smarter than before. Life goes back to quiet. No engines, no drama, just peace. Karen's gone, just a ghost story now. And me. I sit on my porch, coffee in hand, fence, standing tall, grateful for the silence that finally feels like home. So let me ask you, where's the line between standing up for yourself and letting someone like Karen run the show? What would you have done? Ever had your own Karen story? Drop it in the comments. And hey, if you believe in neighbors who look out for each other, not shortcuts and power trips, go ahead and share your thoughts below. We've earned a little peace, don't you think?